Brooklyn. Okay, so we're gonna have to be quiet now because when we record, I hate hearing myself being recorded, especially on YouTube. I'm trying to be professional here. Brooklyn. Brooklyn.
Yes. Okay. Do you see the PowerPoint on the screen now?
I don't know. I see Dee-1 motivating school counselors. I see that.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
So
Let me know when you're ready.
yeah, let's honor everybody's time and get started.
Good afternoon, school counselors from Buffalo to Brooklyn, as I always say. Good afternoon to school counselors from the state of that wonderful state, New York State. I am Dr. Gary Barnett, your professional development chairperson. I want to give a shout out to class 630. Also, I want to give a shout out to our board members that are on. There's too many to name at this point. And I want to give a great, fantastic introduction to Dee-1. His real name is David Augustine. I had the pleasure of meeting him at Asker's conference in Atlanta, Georgia. He was at the LDI, which is our leadership meeting that we had. Very, very inspirational. And you will be able to judge for yourself. He has a lot to say. He understands our youth, and his bio is here. And I don't want to take up too much time because he'll have a lot more to say than I do. So you can read his bio at your leisure. Dee-1, take it away.
Thank you so much, Gail. I appreciate the introduction, and I appreciate everyone who has chosen to show up here today. I truly pray that this adds a lot of value to your journey as a counselor and just as a person on a mission to make a difference. So let me share my screen with you all. All right. So today's presentation, everyone, is all about motivating counselors to motivate students. I am a former middle school teacher from New Orleans, Louisiana, and turned hip hop artist. After teaching middle school for 2 years, I became a full-time hip hop artist because I saw that hip hop culture and hip hop music had the ear of the youth, specifically the youth that I was teaching. And I just look at myself as a communicator. So whether I'm in a classroom teaching, that's communicating. Whether I'm writing and reciting bars and raps, that's just communicating. Currently, I am a Nasir Jones Hip Hop Fellow at Harvard University and also a professor of the practice at Tufts University. So I'm based up here in Boston currently. I was at Harvard earlier today for an event, hence the hoodie. And now I'm in my office at Tufts, hence the real estate and the space. So I am very, very passionate about just how we maximize our time and our talents here on earth. So you all have chosen to be counselors. The first thing that we have to acknowledge is that this is a calling, not a career. There are many jobs in life that you can just breeze through. You can simply clock in, go through the motions, clock out, and you didn't do anything wrong. Matter of fact, you might even be celebrated for the fact that you didn't cause any problems. But as a counselor and as an educator, you have to understand that this is a calling. Your heart really, truly has to be in this. So I speak from that standpoint because if your heart isn't in this type of work, it's going to make the challenges that come along with the work that much more insurmountable. And it's going to be like, why do I have to go through this stuff? Whereas if you have a different perspective and your heart is into this work, then you'll understand that these challenges are just something that's getting in the way of you doing something phenomenal, which is changing the lives of these youth. So I can't see you all's faces for the most part, but I do want to ask you all, to join me with this first slide. In, let's see. Oops. Hold on. Let's see. Let's share. All right, here we are. There we are. So for this first slide, I want to go through something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer, regardless of what your background or your faith is, the Serenity Prayer always helps me to frame, my mindset properly when it goes into doing work in the field of education and working with youth and even being a counselor. So it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. As school counselors, I do not want anyone to suffer from having a hero complex and thinking that you have to be the singular force that changes everything that may be broken or may be wrong with the school system or with the school that you're at, or even inside the lives of the youth that you serve. It's very important, me as a hip hop artist, me as a person who works in education, it's very important that we check our egos at the door. And although we get a lot of the praise when someone feels like we played a big role in helping to transform their life, we have to know and understand that what's going on in anyone's life is much bigger than us. And there are problems that we are not equipped to solve simply on our own. But the problems that we can solve on our own, we need that courage to step up to the task. So I know that this work isn't easy, and I'm curious. Let me see. Let me go to the chat. I'm curious. Y'all can just say a quick yes in the chat if this applies to you. How many of y'all have ever contemplated quitting your job in the past 3 years? Oh, y'all not gonna say anything because that might get y'all in trouble. Y'all name is attached to this comment. I don't expect too much feedback on this question. But if you've ever contemplated quitting your job, then I'm talking to you right now. It's something that's very important that we acknowledge and understand what burnout looks like. So what you all are looking at, these slides on the screen, this probably doesn't look like burnout from these pictures that y'all are looking at. The picture on the left is me at the BET Hip Hop Awards, being honored. I performed at the BET Hip Hop Awards. This was a few years ago. I had just signed a record deal with RCA Records, one of the biggest labels in the entire world. And I was about to be on national television that night, and I was walking the red carpet as we speak. So I stopped, Getty Images took a picture of me, and a big smile plastered on my face. I got my Yankees cap on. I was representing New York, even though I'm from New Orleans. I was repping for the Yankees. So that's how I was looking on the left. On the right, that was me in Nashville, Tennessee, performing as part of the BET Black College Tour. And I was just taking a picture right before the show. I had my all white on and just looking cool, looking fresh. What people don't know is that in both of those pictures, I was struggling with deep, deep, deep depression. And in the picture on the right, where I had my hat backwards, I had actually contemplated committing suicide that same day. That same day when I had a concert in front of thousands of people and everything is seemingly going right in my career and in my life. So I understand that burnout doesn't always look obvious to people from the outside. Burnout can absolutely be masked and be covered up with a smile, with a bunch of awards that we're winning, with a busy schedule that we keep ourselves on. Burnout can look all types of different ways. I really care about the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health of people inside education, because we have a lot of work to do and we have a lot of responsibility. And oftentimes it goes underpaid and underpraised. So it's very important that you understand and recognize how to combat this burnout, but how to also be your best self. Because if you're not able to be your best self, you better believe that these students are not dumb. These students can absolutely discern and feel out who's really there for them and who's really able to, bring all that they have to the table to best service these students. Because we're supposed to be models of what we want our students to ultimately be. I remember stories of me being a middle school teacher and being in the teacher's lounge on Mondays. I'm talking about Monday mornings, y'all. And teachers coming in there saying, oh, got to deal with these kids again this week. I can't wait till Friday. And I remember this distinctly. And in my mind, I was thinking, I was a young teacher, fresh out of college at the time. So I wasn't confronting these other educators directly, but I was just thinking, I just wish you would just quit your job because you're doing such a disservice to these students. If you have that attitude about them on a Monday morning, I know you're not showing up as your best self, And I know we all are adults and we're dealing with, real life issues. So I want you to know this. Your joy is a weapon of mass disruption. In a place called school, where oftentimes there's these routines and things can feel mundane and repetitive and not exciting to people, your joy literally can disrupt all of that when you enter a space and people can see like, wow, you're actually happy to be here. Wow. When something doesn't go right, because it's never going to go completely right when you're in a school, it's never going to go completely right. But when something doesn't go right, you are more solution-oriented than excuse-oriented. When people can feel your joy radiating from you, sometimes listen, y'all, sometimes all you're going to remember about an educator or a counselor is the way they made you feel. You won't remember. I remember Miss Sumera in New Orleans, my 10th grade math teacher. I can remember Mr. Jake Flack, my 8th grade social studies teacher. I don't remember anything that they taught me in those classes off the top of my head. I can't tell you, hey, on March 5th, we learned about this. And on April 10th, we learned about that in class. But I can remember the way that they made me feel. They made me feel celebrated and not tolerated. That is the power of you having joy and knowing and understanding how special that is when you bring that into the schools with you. Now, in order to have that joy serve as a weapon of mass disruption, you must remember what brings you joy and incorporate that into your job. There was a time when I first started teaching where I didn't follow this rule. I was in a position where I wanted to be taken seriously as an educator. And I said, although I'm a hip hop artist on the side and I love making music and I love performing, and literally when I get out of school every day, I go to the clubs and to the open mics and I present my music and I'm getting my name out there as an artist. I didn't want my students to know that about me because I didn't want to be seen as a gimmick teacher. Oh, he's not a real teacher. Mr. Augustine, he's really just a rapper that comes in and teaches sometimes. No, so I didn't bring that into the classroom with me. But then one day, one of my students saw one of my posters around town when he was driving with his mom. He saw one of my posters taped to a light pole, and he came in class the next day and raised his hand and said, Mr. Augustine, do you have a twin brother? And I was like, no. And he said, man, I saw a dude on a poster that looked just like you, but it said Dee-1. And I knew at that moment that my secret was out the bag. I said, oh, all right. He discovered that that I'm a rapper, and now the rest of the students are going to discover it, and it's out. And I thought that was a bad thing. Y'all, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to my career as an educator. Me understanding that music is what brought me joy, and me being able to incorporate that into my job and just show up as my full authentic self, that made the workplace feel so much more inclusive to me. That made the workplace feel like a place where I didn't have to code switch, to the best of my ability when I came in the door. It was like, yeah, Mr. Augustine raps. Okay, cool. I'm still here. I'm still going to teach y'all this math. I'm still going to teach y'all everything that I have to do here. You can still do that same thing as a counselor, getting your job done. But remember what brings you joy and incorporate that into your job. Please, please do. Please do. I know that as counselors, there are more things to do than there is time in the day to do it. And there are more students to service than time in the school year to often be able to service these students adequately and build deep relationships with these students. So it's about being able to maximize our moments. It's truly about being able to maximize our moments and understanding that we have a special opportunity to where these students that we service, they may be going through all kind of foolishness outside the classroom. And when they go home, when they leave school, we don't know what it is that they have in the battle in order to mentally be able to focus or physically be able to survive. But as much as possible, let's make school feel like a warm, safe space for them. Some solutions for a lack of joy. Number one, community. Please make sure that at the workplace that you find you at least one person, if not more, that you can truly feel like, hey, I can open up to this person. I can celebrate with this person. I can confide in this person if need be. But there's some sense of community. That doesn't mean you have to tell them all of your business and everything that you have going on outside of work. But at the job, understand these are your teammates. This is not your competition. So that lack of joy can be combated by having some community. Full transparency, I just left an event at Harvard University a few hours ago, and it's a real estate project that I'm a part of. I'm an investor in, and it's some real estate on Harvard's campus, and they had a big ribbon cutting ceremony and all this type of stuff. And when I walked in there, just full transparency, there were not very many people who were investors in this project who looked like me. So as I walk in there, I'm just looking around, and I was like, oh, this is that feeling of first day of school again, and you're at a new school and you don't know anybody, and you're looking around and you're like, wow, I just wish I had like one friend. And I found that friend, y'all. I was going to get donuts. They had some food. I went to get me a donut, and sure enough, I found a brother who I said, you know what? First of all, he looked at me and he kind of waved. So I was like, that's cool. And then outside of that, I felt comfortable going up and speaking to him. And next thing you know, we're sitting there bonding. We have mutual friends. We talk, and he's telling me he's from New York, actually. And I'm talking to him about who I am and what I do. And I felt the sense of community. Instantly, I felt that much more welcome at this event just now. And I felt that much more comfortable at this event. You absolutely have to do that to combat a lack of joy that you may be experiencing at your job. And everything that I'm telling you all that we have to do, we need to do this because we are modeling this for the students. Because ultimately, when you're living something, it makes it that much easier to take your lived experience and to then be able to teach it and showcase that for the students that we're here to serve. The second thing is self-care. Self-care is a solution for a lack of joy, because we all know those things that put us in our happy place. And when we lean into those things, when we tap into what it is that we love to do to treat ourselves and to make ourselves feel appreciated, that can truly, truly, truly be transformative in terms of how we show up at work, because we're taking care of ourselves outside of work. Part of that is sleeping. With me, that's a big thing. I travel frequently. I'm all over the country between concerts and speaking engagements and being at Tufts and being at Harvard. And I was recently, there's a brother, world-renowned radio show host out of New York named Sway. He has the show on Sirius XM, Sway in the Morning. I was just on his show on Thursday. Did a very powerful interview, very powerful 7-minute freestyle of me rapping on his show. And at the end of the interview, because I really value, his friendship, and I know he really cares about me, I asked him live on air. He was just congratulating me for a lot of what I have going on. I said, man, before we end the interview, do you have any advice for me? You see the mission that I'm on. Honestly, I'm in a space, ladies and gentlemen, where I call out a lot of what is wrong with hip hop culture, and I'm vocal about calling it out, because I see that too many of the people in powerful positions don't seem to care about the message that is being glorified and monetized, and how detrimental it is to the community of people that's listening to it, right? So I'm often critical of this community that I am a part of. And I asked Sway for his advice. And out of everything he could have told me, I'm thinking he's going to talk about, just my approach to music or to the industry. And he said one word: rest. He said, rest. He said, you need to make sure that you're getting your rest, because you know your mission, you know your purpose, you're walking in it, and you're doing well, but you just have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So self-care is instrumental to being influential. And the third thing that's a solution for a lack of joy would be mentorship. Mentorship feels great. It feels great when we have people that we can confide in, people that we look up to, and people that have been there, done that to a certain extent, who we can talk to. That doesn't mean that you're going to always have access to your mentor, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're going to always see eye to eye with your mentor on every single thing, and that's okay. But mentorship is important. And I understand that as counselors, it oftentimes feels like you don't have enough resources, at your disposal, or even enough guidance or enough mentorship to be able to adequately, do your job. But mentorship, for me, what I've learned is that mentorship can often come from people and sources that are non-traditional, and that we maybe were sleeping on. Like, we didn't realize that this person would be a great mentor for us. We had somebody picked out in mind, like, this is who I want to be my mentor. This would be great for me, or this is logically who my mentor should be. But sometimes the people with the wisdom, we have to be open to saying, wow, like, it's someone totally different. At this stage of my life, a lot of the friends and the network and the mentors that are putting me onto opportunities and filling me with wisdom, they are not people who I even knew 5 years ago. So this whole thing of like, day ones and no new friends and whatnot, this is stuff that I hear oftentimes from my generation and just in hip hop culture. And these frames of mine about not having any new friends and only sticking with your day ones, we have to shed those beliefs because they are not fully accurate. All right. I want everyone to pay attention to this slide, and I pray that y'all hear me. You can still create great things in a broken system. I'm sure many of you all feel like the education system is broken, and you are inside of your schools, so you definitely see operationally. And I'm opening the chat. Oh, wow, we got a lot of messages in the chat. All right, cool. I hope this doesn't mess up my slideshow, because I like to see these comments. There we go. Good. So with that being said, and I'll answer the questions at the end, for sure. And I see a couple of y'all are DMing me some really important questions too. But I'll make sure to carve out time for all of this. So the systems that we work in, there's not a team that I've ever been on playing sports where I didn't see like, hey, nah, we not functioning as a team because such and such is being a ball hog, or these two dudes are really beefing, or they really competing, or I got people competing with me when we're supposed to be competing against the opposing team, and it just doesn't feel right. That's never been something that I didn't notice when playing sports. In the music industry, you have people who will hop on your song to collaborate with you, but really that's just a calculated move on their end to try to take your fan base and make it their own. And they really don't care about being friends with you. They just kind of wanted to be able to gain access to your audience. I had to learn this type of stuff the hard way. I've had to learn that any system that I've been a part of, from being a middle school teacher to working at universities to going around and being an educational consultant. I do a lot of social emotional learning work in schools around the country and consulting with different districts. And I've seen that, a lot of these systems and these structures are broken to a certain degree, but you can still create great things in a broken system. And it's very important to know that. Here's why I'm saying this. Sometimes the broken system is what we fixate our focus on. And when we get overly consumed with the system around us that's broken, it can turn us so pessimistic that we don't feel like any good or anything great can come from that system, because we're just like, but even if this happens, this is still messed up and they're never going to change this. And I firmly believe that there is so much greatness that everyone in this world was called to accomplish by using their God-given gifts. Everyone, I know it for a fact. But it's all about understanding some people were put on this earth to fix these broken systems. And high level, that is what they're here to do, right? Some people are like, hey, I'm in the system and I'm aware that it's broken, but I'm also a doctor that's here to fix, what's going on a daily basis. So a good analogy is this. If you're chilling out in front of your house and your pet, your dog, gets hit by a vehicle that just comes and is speeding down the street and hits your dog, right? And then the vehicle keeps going. You have a decision to make at that point. You can either say, hey, why aren't there speed bumps, on this street? Or why aren't there red light cameras? Or why was no cop here to be able to, see that this car was speeding and they hit my dog? Or you could say, I'm gonna go after that person who hit my dog. Or you could say, wait, my dog got hit, but my dog is still alive. I'm gonna focus my time and energy right now on tending to my dog. And oftentimes that's how I feel about the real live human beings that we have the opportunity to be in front of on a daily basis. We know that the system has failed them. We know that there should have been safeguards in place to make it to where they didn't have to get hit with what this country throws at them and what poverty and discrimination and broken households throw at them. But at the end of the day, although they've been hit and battered and bruised, they still showed up to school that day. They still matriculated to the point where they're in a grade to where you are their counselor now. So don't get so fixated on the system that you forget who you are able to service every day. And although they're not perfect and you're not perfect, nothing is perfect. But we can still put forth that effort to make a difference. So that's very, 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 very crucial. All right. So the ABCs for combating burnout. If you're feeling burnout, we know the importance of having to get through it. The ABCs for combating burnout. So the letter A, I don't know if anyone knows what A might be. A stands for something. To combat burnout, A, you have to ask your boss for a raise. That's how you combat. That was a joke, y'all. I know I can't hear y'all laughing, but ask your boss for a raise. I'm just joking. In order to combat burnout, you have to A, acknowledge your workplace challenges. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge them. Don't ignore them. Don't ignore that they exist. But also, don't let them consume you, but acknowledge them. It's healthy. It's healthy to acknowledge them. B, for combating burnout, so that you can motivate your students to be their best selves, to combat your potential burnout. Anyone know what B is? And no, it's not beg your boss for a raise. No, it's not that. B is bring the joy to your job. That word bring is so crucial, y'all. It's so crucial. You know why? Because we live in a society where people just want to receive all the time. If I go to church, all right, what's the pastor gonna say that's gonna serve me? Like, come on, I need a good word. I need this. I need this. When we go to work, we know that we're gonna receive a paycheck, and we just want to receive something that allows us to say, oh, since I received this, I can bring this. Y'all, as counselors especially, because you're the glue between students, parents, teachers, and other staff. Counselors are oftentimes the glue in that whole educational framework. You have to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. You have to be the thermostat, the person that's ready to set the temperature in the room, not just take the temperature in the room. So we're going to set that temperature to be sitting on what it is that brings you joy. Because when you bring the joy to your job, trust me, it could be a cold atmosphere. New York, I know how cold it gets. I was there 3 days ago. I know how cold it gets. Yo, you can shift the temperature in the building. You absolutely can. We all have the ability to do that just by being yourself too. Just by being yourself, you can shift the temperature in the building. Your joy is a weapon of mass disruption. And C, we have to celebrate small professional wins. And notice I underlined all, because we have to celebrate all of our professional wins. Here's the problem. Oftentimes, we feel like, well, if I didn't get honored with this national award or this award from the entire state of New York, then it's not anything worth celebrating, because we see this Instagram, TikTok, Facebook culture to where everybody has this big accomplishment and announcement that they want to do on social media constantly. And it makes us oftentimes feel like, you know what? The things that I'm doing well or that might be seen as professional wins, maybe they don't feel that special because I'm comparing them to other people's professional wins, right? But we have to celebrate those small wins. We have to. And it's very important to understand what we even define as a win. It's very, very, very important to understand what we define as a win, y'all. Imagine looking at a scoreboard and saying, wait, traditionally people are playing the game to where this scoreboard, you get a point for every time you get the ball in the basket, if this was basketball, right? But imagine if you're to the point where you're saying, wait, there's actually a different way that we should be keeping score. And I think that when it comes to education, I think that there's these standardized test scores, there's these school ratings and rankings, and there's these awards that people are striving for. And oftentimes that's how people are keeping score. But in reality, there are much, much, much better ways to be keeping score. Your professional wins can look like some of those students that you know what their starting point was at the beginning of the year, and you're seeing progress from them over the course of the year, and you're knowing that they each had individual challenges to get over, and you're seeing that progress. Those are wins, and you are a huge part of those wins. You have to celebrate that. Not only celebrate yourself for that, but celebrate those students for that. That is extremely crucial to understanding how to not get burnt out, but also how to show up as your best self. Because then at that point, you feel like a winner. And you start to realize, like, wait, okay. You got some people that's complaining all the time. Okay, you got a system that's broken, but I still have been able to carve out this space to where I'm showing up as my best self because I'm celebrating the change that is being made and the accomplishments that are being obtained amidst all of this. That's all it is, y'all. As a rapper, it's possible for me to say, hey, this industry and this culture is sick in a lot of ways, but I'm still in it. So I can be in it, but not of it, and I can still criticize certain aspects of it while coming from a place of love, because I still see the value in me being in it. And that's how you have to feel if this is truly your career that you want to move forward with. And if this is a calling, this is definitely something that's very important. This slide right here, it says, your story is your glory. Your story is your glory. Everyone on this presentation right now has a unique story that has gotten you to where you are today. And when you realize that it's not perfect, it hasn't been without bumps and bruises. Of course, you've messed up, you've fallen, you may have quit something, you came back to it. You like, who knows what your story is? But your story is your glory. So knowing and understanding that you wouldn't even be alive if your life didn't have value at this point. Like, you wouldn't even be here. So the fact that you are still here, you've made it through. Whatever you've made it through, you are now an expert on that. Whatever you've made it through, if you've had financial issues, if you've had personal problems that you have successfully made it through and it didn't kill you, you are now an expert on that. You can speak to people about that. But even if you're not speaking to people about it, you can know that these are things that have added to, the grit that you have. to allow you to be who you are. And as counselors, a lot of it is helping to provide direction for students and provide clarity to students who may not have vision. Being able to provide clarity for students who may not know what's next, or who may be making decisions about what's next that they're uninformed about. Like that takes for you to really, really value yourself and really know that you have something special that you see inside of those students. You gotta like people. You gotta like the people that you're serving. You're in a position to serve. And I understand that the challenges that we face, they span across different industries. So the same things that I have seen in the music industry that I've had issues with, oftentimes it just had to do with people's motives for why they were doing their job. And when I realized, like, wow, I just signed a record deal to this big, huge company, but now I see that this company isn't even, passionate about my music. They just saw me as a potential person that could make money for them. They're not even passionate about my message, my mission, anything like that. That type of stuff could make me say, you know what? I have just paralysis of analysis now. Like I'm just so much in my head and fixating on, okay, what this person is doing wrong and why this employee isn't all they're cracked up to be, and why this machine is broken and not able to service me adequately as an artist. I could fixate on that stuff, but I just had to know that, like, no, I'm here for a reason. And let me think about all of the people I can directly impact by doing what's right. It's not about having a unanimous approval rating. It's not about knowing that I'll never have a bad day or have a bad period or anything like that. It's never about that. It's never about that. So knowing that my story is my glory has truly helped me a lot. A whole lot. I continue to embrace my story. I continue to tell my story. And guess what? Those students, the more that those students know, they're like, wait, you're not expecting me to be perfect? Wait, you're not looking down on me because I got held back or because I might not graduate on time? Helping them to understand that their story is their glory and that they still have a destination that's much greater than where they are currently. That's on us to be able to do for them. That's on us. And I firmly believe that when you have this joy that I'm speaking to you all about, and when you protect that joy, and when you use that joy as a weapon of mass disruption, you can take that to any environment that you go into. Whether you're a counselor, whether you are a public speaker, whether you are a rapper, whether you are a teacher, whether you're an administrator, it doesn't matter what you are. That joy coupled with your skill set. Everybody on here is smart. There's no dummies on here right now, absolutely. But you can have a lot of smart people who don't have any soul. And they don't have any integrity about what they're doing. And most importantly, they don't have any passion for what they're doing. That lack of passion, that's tough to teach. That's tough to teach. So that's what I'm wanting to hopefully ignite inside of everyone, or light that fire even brighter. These problems in education are difficult to solve because these conversations are difficult to have. And we have to truly understand that when we can do the tough work of having these conversations about what we can each do better, and understanding that serenity prayer, and knowing that, hey, we can't do it all on our own. We can't change everything. But please give me the courage to change the things that I can. That proper mindset needs to precede the skill set that we have. But that proper mindset coupled with the skill set that I know you all have, that's going to allow us to do our best. And that's all we can hope for at the end of the day. If anyone wants to stay in touch with me, oops, hold on. Uh-oh. There we go. If anyone wants to stay in touch with me, this QR code right here has a spot to where you can shoot me your email address and I can get in touch with you via email. That would be amazing because this is a lifelong mission that I'm on. I don't put any limit to what I'm doing currently and what I may be doing in the future, but education and hip hop have been two things that have been synonymous with my entire adult life. And my platform continues to grow and my territory continues to enlarge. So, I know that I'll be here doing this work specifically to serve our youth. That's my social media handle right there, Dee-1 Music. If anyone is on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, any of that stuff, YouTube, all that good stuff, that's my social media handle. So definitely tap in with me on there. A few things that I also have before we get into questions for the last few minutes. A few things that I've also done recently that I'm proud of. I just authored my first children's book. It's an anti-bullying hip-hop children's book called David Found His Slingshot. I authored this last year during the first year of my fellowship at Harvard University, and it's powerful. It's reaching thousands and thousands of students across the country already. It's been out for about 2 months, and that QR code will take you to where it's available at on my website, which is missionvisionlifestyle.com. I will show y'all a copy. Do I have a copy of the book? Hold on. I think I got rid of all of them. Yeah, I have to re-up. I have none left. Wow. Yeah, that's a good thing though. That's a good thing that everywhere I go, I leave empty-handed. So I was a victim of being bullied in kindergarten, and I remember it vividly. All those years ago, I remember it so vividly, everything I was going through. And this story is autobiographical in a lot of ways, because me and my former bully are actually best friends to this day. And it's funny, I would not make this up, y'all. And I love when moments like this happen. He actually called during this Zoom presentation. He actually called my phone, like literally. I'm gonna cover his. Well, I don't want to show y'all that. Y'all might see his phone number, but yeah, he actually called. Like, that's my boy. So, ironically, yes, that has to do with the children's book. And lastly, I am, primarily, first and foremost, a hip hop artist, and I just proudly put out my 10th album of my career. It's called Uno. Uno is an acronym for underdogs and outcasts, and that's who I feel like we, as counselors, as educators, and me as a hip hop artist, are called to serve and to give special attention to the underdogs and the outcasts in society. So don't forget about any of them, and that's what this album is dedicated to. It just debuted at number 4 in the whole world on the Apple Music, iTunes, hip hop charts. And I'm 100% independent. So huge blessing. And, thank you. If any of y'all are already familiar with my music, I truly appreciate y'all. I've been blessed to be in the game for a while and to still be ascending, after all these years. So that's me in a nutshell. I wanted to take the last 15 minutes for questions or comments or any feedback. And I see a few already, but yeah, we are right on time. So let's see. Let's go back up.
Thank you, Dee-1, for that wonderful presentation. I finally got my camera to work. So you guys see what I look like.
All right.
Thank you for that presentation. If anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
There we go. All right, we're back. So I did see some questions up top in the chat that I wanted to address. Let's see. Shout out to Aisha. She said they need you at Grambling State. Yeah, that's in my home state of Louisiana. What's up, Aisha? I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Where was the question? Okay.
You got a lot of congratulations on your work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate all those congratulations. For real, that stuff feels good. Definitely. Someone DM'd me. How were you able to overcome depression and get back to fulfilling your calling to the best of your ability? Well, and since you DM'd it to me, I won't say your name out loud. Maybe you wanted it to be, anonymous. But for the first time in my life, this was in 2014 and 2015 when I was going through this. It lasted for about 18 months. That was a tough year and a half. And I had to go to therapy for the first time ever in my life. Being a young Black man, therapy was never something that was talked about in my household, nothing that any of my friends had ever done, or it just wasn't normalized, to me. But thankfully, because of the internet nowadays, you do start to see these conversations around things like therapy that may not have been normal in your community or in your house. And I went to therapy. That started to help me. That definitely started to help me. Then I had to do like I told y'all. One of the solutions for the lack of joy, if y'all remember, is mentorship. I had to start to tap in to my mentors that I had. I realized like I have an amazing circle of people around me. I just don't tap into them. Oftentimes I'm just a man that's like, I got this. I got this figured out. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. And I would be afraid to pick up their phone. Afraid to shoot them a text, afraid to act like I didn't have it all together. Because it's tough sometimes when so many people are saying congratulations to you, but when deep down in your heart, you're just criticizing yourself and you're thinking things are not going right and I want to be doing so much better. So you're hearing congratulations and public praise, but privately, you're your own worst enemy. And that's what I was going through. So it was a process. Thank you for asking that question. It was a combination of therapy, effective mentorship, and truly just remembering who I am and knowing that my story is my glory. So some of the shortcomings that I was having at that stage of my life and my career, I had to learn to embrace them as part of my story. Because even Michael Jordan ain't go undefeated, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody had. So let's see. Did we have any more questions? I see a lot of, congratulations and all that stuff. Will there be a certificate that we will receive at the end of the webinar or something that states were able to present? Oh, they trying to get their credit, Bob. Bob.
No, we always do that. We always do that.
Give them their credit. They're like, all right, we listen.
You know what they always ask for too is a copy of the PowerPoint.
Oh, they want a copy of the PowerPoint too. Okay.
So send that to me and I'll get it to everybody.
Yeah, my PowerPoint is $19.99. All right. Send my Cash App is Dee-1. I'm just playing, y'all. But that's cool. That's cool. Let's see. My name is do you visit high schools and do similar events like today? All the time, like literally all the time. Yeah. Y'all have an event on November 8th. Wait, you mean like in 7 days, November 8th? I'm actually one of the keynote presenters for the Castle Conference, the SEL Social Emotional Learning Conference in Atlanta on November 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for who said that? Oh, that was a DM. Oh, I wasn't even supposed to read that message out loud. Never mind, my bad. But yeah, thanks for the request. Are you available to speak with school staff, Broadnax? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no one on the face of this earth that I won't speak to. I don't care what your political party is. I don't care what your religious affiliation, orientation is. Like, it's not something that's going to prevent me from using my God-given gift of being a communicator to at least try to build some sort of bridge. For the greater good of who it is that we're here to serve. So, yes, absolutely. Are there any more questions that anyone had or any, okay, another question. Here we are. It says, how do you deal with administrators and staff members that create a toxic environment and it starts to impact you? Yes. I know that stuff is happening. Like I absolutely know it's happening. And I can give y'all real life examples of what I'm going through currently, like in this. Administrators and staff members that create a toxic environment and it starts to impact you. I have been seeing more and more that you just have to be direct. You have to be loving, but you have to be direct about confronting it. Because oftentimes I'll be like, I'm just going to pray for them, or it ain't that big of a deal. I'm just going to keep focusing on what I got going on. That person really can't be intentionally trying to hate on me or create that toxic of an environment. But guess what? You're wrong. They really are hating on you. They really are probably creating that toxic environment knowingly. And if they feel like it goes unchecked and unspoken on, oftentimes people will keep like, oh, I'm gonna keep going. Y'all give me an inch, I'm finna take a whole yard. So I've learned that you have to get to the core of that. And that's some uncomfortable conversations. And it's very important how you approach those uncomfortable conversations, because then people are looking for you to say one thing wrong so that they can say, oh, you approached me and you said this, and now I can never get over that and never forgive you for that. So you have to work on the art of being direct, but coming from a place of love. And that is something that I have been working on since my college days. Honestly, I've been working on that through my music. If y'all go follow me on Instagram, y'all gonna see I'm actually like going super viral today with a post that just came out where I was coming from a place of love, but being very direct towards some of the biggest hip hop artists in the game today who continue to want to glorify violence and murder and drug dealing and all this. And these are people in their 40s, almost 50 years old, almost 40 years old in some cases. And I went on Sway and I talked about it, but there's a way that you do it. There's a way that you have to do it. So great questions. They say clear as kind. Absolutely. Yep. I'm very familiar with that quote. Very familiar with Brene. Yep. Okay. I got someone said they provided their email with the QR code. Look forward to, absolutely. I'm going to take a picture of this. Yep. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Are y'all ready to get y'all certificates? Bob has your certificate coming ASAP. Bob, Gail, y'all got anything? Y'all got any wisdom to drop on everybody?
In life. I'm certificate guy.
He's a certificate guy. I'd like to thank each and everyone for attending our webinar. I mean, you did a great job. The questions and comments were fantastic. I see that our president of the New York State School Council Association, Miss Marjorie Miller. President Miller, would you like to say anything?
I don't know where to start. This was beyond. It was beyond. You must have read all our minds today of what our day was like. And I love how you phrase it, because I came home a little upset about students who I felt were not treated properly. And I wrote down all your sayings. I'm going to make a sign to put in my office. Your story is your glory. I cannot begin to tell you, and all of you, how that is the essential of connecting to a child. It is their story to tell. And your story to also self-reflect on what that is, so that you have that to give to your students. Yeah. I just, unbelievable. You have to come over for dinner one night. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. I'm taking you up on that offer.
Okay, you got it. And please, our annual conference is coming up very soon, in about 2 weeks. This is what we do. This is who we are. We continue to support your journey on helping your students. And that's what NYSCA is all about. So keep on coming. That's Absolutely. All I'm going to say.
Thank you, Miss Marjorie. That means so much to me. And your story is your glory is actually the title of a song on my album that I just put out. It's amazing how that song has become one of the most popular songs on the album, along with another song called My Joy Is My Weapon. So oftentimes I see the synergy between what I'm doing musically as an artist, but how that also applies to what I'm doing as an educator. And I don't try to separate these two worlds, because I understand that they often overlap in terms of
because you bring your authentic self to whatever you do.
Absolutely. So that is the key. And that is absolutely the key. And I thank you all. Just so y'all know too, all of my music is clean, so there's no profanity in it. So if you ever played it in front of students or anything, you don't have to worry about, is this gonna come up or that. It's like it's really It's really something where the music, for me, has been the gateway to. That's why I go to schools all across America, and when I step in, the fact that I'm stepping in as a rapper, it's automatically the cool factor that I have. But now they're like, wait, this dude is talking about the same stuff that our teachers, our counselors, and our administrators are talking about, but it just hits differently when it's coming, from a person that they're used to hearing, people in my genre glorify a bunch of negativity. So I'm very, very grateful, and I wish I could have performed for y'all today. That's my only regret. If I'd have been in person, I would have cranked up the music and did some songs and had y'all have Miss Marjorie on stage dancing with me and had Bob out there doing this
Like
thing.
at ASCA, yeah.
Yeah, like right, like we was at ASCA. There's
there you go.
Miss Simone. She said she joined late. She's a college student from Pennsylvania. And she wanted to know, how can she get your music? She says, I'm very interested and love how unique you are.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'm on every streaming platform in the world. Wherever you get Beyonce's music and Taylor Swift, you can get Dee-1's music. All those same places. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, wherever you listen to music. I'm everywhere. DEE-1.
Well, I'm promoting what you have done, and I will say, as a one of my other hats I wear as a college professor, and I teach master's students who are in the school counseling program as well as the mental health program. And my question is, why do you want to be a school counselor? And my other statement is, this is a calling, and not everyone can do the job that we do.
That's right.
So when you said it's a calling, I was like, amen, Pastor, here's the contribution, I was in church. But yes, it is a calling. And what you have done and what you continue to do, Mr. Augustine, if I may, it is a calling, and it shows not only your passion for what you're doing. I'm going to say, keep on doing what you're doing, and make this world a better place, especially for our young people.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
I thank you again. It's a little after 5. Let me ask Bob. Oh, yep, it's 5 o'clock. He keeps me sane. Again, a shout out to our president. As you saw, the board members are somewhere on here. So thank you, board members, for attending. And you have my email address, and you can reach me at that email address for any comments, concerns, or if you like to, what other type of webinars that you would like to see as well. Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Same to y'all. No, it's very important that we all keep doing what we're doing to the best of our abilities, though. So thank you. And for Elizabeth and Brianna and Jenny who wanted me to do some music and freestyle something. Just go on my Instagram page, and you're gonna see I was just on Sway in the morning in front of millions of people freestyling, and you're gonna see right there. I see y'all talking about freestyle right quick. Yeah.
Okay, if there aren't any more questions or comments, again, we thank you. We hope to see you at our conference one day.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can't come this November's in Albany, we'll let you know when the next one will be.
Please let me know. I would love to connect with y'all more and keep this going. I mean it. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I salute you all, and I love you all for what y'all have chosen to do with this season of your life. So let's just maximize these moments.
Thank you.